Good evening. Welcome to the Development Management Committee. I am Councillor Peter Gregg, the Chairman of the committee. Before we start the meeting, I need to make the public attending aware of the following. We're not expecting a fire drill, so if the fire alarm goes off, please make your way out of the nearest emergency exit and gather at the front of Runnymede Hall. Meetings of the committee are webcast and broadcast on the internet. If you are seated in the public area of the council chamber, it is possible that your image will become part of the broadcast. May I ask the Development Management Committee members present who are seated in the chamber in the row in front of me to introduce themselves, starting your name only, starting on my left, please.
Councillor Alan Acott.
Councillor Hannah Barton-Brown.
Councillor Chas Mumford. Councillor Tom Skip.
Councillor Jackie Thornton.
Thank you. And may I ask the officers present to introduce themselves, again starting on my left.
Stephen Garner.
Kim Fisher-Bright.
Loretta Hill.
Jason Bishop, Legal Advisor to the committee.
And we have no members from the Canvey Island Town Council. So the first item on the agenda is item 1, apologies. Are there any apologies for absence?
Chairman, we've had apologies for absence from Councillors Anderson and Bowker.
Thank you. Item 2, members' interests. Are there any members' interests? No. Item 3, the minutes. Are the minutes for the Development Management Committee meeting held on the 1st of November 2022 agreed? Item 4, public speakers. There are no public speakers this evening. So we'll go on to our agenda. Item 5, depository plans. No?
Chairman, sorry, before we proceed, can I just seek some clarification on something that happened at the last meeting? I'm looking at our constitution here regarding this committee. And 4.8, it says, when considering planning applications, members must base their decisions on the National Planning Policy Framework, adopted local plan, other adopted local policy and other material planning considerations. Decisions reached for party political reasons are not consistent with a proper exercise of discretion and may be dismissed at appeal, overturned by the courts, or be subject to a finding of maladministration by the Ombudsman, with the potential to incur costs against the council for this fact alone. It is not appropriate and will amount to maladministration to apply party whipping to decisions and planning applications. I ask this question because during the debate on item, I believe it was item 2 at the last meeting, there was a question to the planning officer, and it said, is this or is this not Greenbelt?
Councillor Mumford, please.
Yeah.
We're not here to discuss this one.
No,
we're here to...
I just want some clarification.
No, I'm sorry, we're not going to go ahead with that.
Because...
Please, I have asked you to stop. Now, please, abide by what I say and stop on that, because we're not dealing with that.
Councillor Mumford, if it assists, I'm happy to give you assistance after this meeting.
Yes, thank you, because somebody made a political statement at the last meeting and also said
yes,
it was
I'm
PIP
aware,
policy.
I'm aware of that.
Yeah,
it's
thank
been brought
you.
to my attention.
Thank you.
Item 5, depository plans. Item 1, 48 Paarl Road, Canvey Island, Essex, SS8 9BT, Canvey Island Central. I will now hand over to the planning officer to present this item.
Thank you, sir.
Kim?
Thank you, Chairman. There we go. Right, this is a very straightforward application. It's a very minor form of development. It's only presented to committee this evening because the applicant is a member of staff. and we're required to present such cases to members for determination. The proposal itself concerns a bungalow on the northern side of Paarl Road. You can just about see it from the location plan here, not too far from the junction with Thelma Avenue. The site has a detached bungalow with an attached garage. The applicant seeks retrospective consent for increasing the height of the garage and converting the garage to a bedroom. Those works have been carried out, and that's why this is a retrospective application. The applicant is seeking consent after the works have been carried out. So, as originally constructed, this was a one-bedroom bungalow. And as you know, one-bedroom bungalows are generally provided with a garage and a parking space, which more than meets your parking requirements for a one-bedroom property. The difficulty arises, however, when you have a one-bedroom bungalow with a garage conversion, which then creates a two-bedroom property with just one car parking space, which is inconsistent with the planning parking standards and with members' policy on such matters. So, based on the fact that we're increasing accommodation, we're losing parking, the proposal in principle attracts a recommendation of refusal. Now, the applicant has suggested that actually you can achieve a parking space somewhere else on this site, and particularly they're suggesting that it can be provided across the front of the site as shown here. There are, however, a number of issues with such provision. The first is actually the space between the front of the bungalow and the highway boundary is of insufficient width, consistent with the parking standards to achieve a parking space. The second issue is that, as you can see, in order to access that parking space, it's going to take a considerable amount of manoeuvring, both sort of within the site and on the adjacent footway, to actually get a vehicle into that position. Vehicles tend not to be able to turn at right angles. You need to sweep into a car parking space in that sort of a situation. And we feel that that would have an adverse consequence for pedestrians, other road users. So it's not a safe or convenient means of parking. It's going to take a lot of manoeuvring to get there. And a consequence of that inconvenience for the applicant, we think there's a high potential for the cars to actually be left on the highway. Paarl Road is about 4.5 metres wide. It's a narrow road. Vehicles parked on that are going to create problems for passing traffic, for other users of the road. So we feel that it's not appropriate to have a form of development which encourages on-street parking. The other issue we've got, which is a minor issue in terms of the site itself, is there's actually a gas regulator located in the front garden. And because so much of the front garden is going to be taken up with parking, it's difficult to see how that could be safely and conveniently relocated. And the final concern we have with this site is that basically a vehicle at the side of the property, a vehicle in front of the property, this entire dwelling is going to be dominated by parked cars. And your own residential design guidance says that dwellings should not be dominated by parked cars. They need to be set in an appropriate context with the dwelling so that the setting of the dwelling is actually maintained as a dwelling and of attractive appearance. So for all of those reasons, the application before you is recommended for refusal. That recommendation is on page 4 of the agenda, and I'll ask members to adopt the recommendation. Thank you.
Before I move the recommendation, do members have any questions for the planning officer about the planning application? Please note this is members' opportunity to seek clarification from the planning officer on any matters they are unclear of regarding the application. Members should refrain from making statements about their views on the proposal, and these should be expressed in the debate section of the meeting. Are there any questions? Yes, Councillor.
Thank you. Has there been any previous planning permission submitted to carry out work similar to this previously? Obviously, this is retrospective. The work's been carried out with no previous plans. That's probably actually the main leading question that would...
No.
Okay.
Are there any other questions at all? The planning officer's recommendation is for refusal. for the reasons set out in the report. For the purposes of debate, I move for the recommendation. Who would like to speak first? Who would like to speak first? Councillor Thornton.
Thank you. I'd just like to say I agree with the officers, and the using the parking standards is good, and hopefully we can move forward. That's the way we're going now. Thank you.
Councillor Barton.
Have we had any complaints from any other residents in the road around these works, especially if it's been done without planning permission? Have there been any complaints from any of the local residents?
No, but in all fairness, that's irrelevant. What we're dealing with here is a policy issue. So whether we'd received objections or not, those objections would not outweigh the policy reason.
Are there any other? Councillor Aycott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I just ask the officer, did the applicant give any reason why they want to have this second bedroom?
No, and they're not required to, sir.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions at all? Okay. Members, the motion before you is for refusal. May I have a show of hands, please, for the motion? Well, that's conclusive.
It is. Right.
I take it there's no abstentions? No. The application is refused. Right. That concludes the business for this meeting. Thank you very much.